The stars twinkled peacefully in the vast expanse of space, a stark contrast to the chaos that had consumed the galaxy for the past decade. Humanity, once considered a primitive species confined to their tiny blue planet, had emerged victorious in a war that spanned hundreds of star systems. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth's flagship, the Resilient, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. The last of the enemy ships were powering down their weapons, signaling their surrender. A small smile played on her lips, but exhaustion was etched deep in the lines of her face. "It's over," she whispered, more to herself than to her crew. "We actually did it." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jack O'Neill, approached with a datapad in hand. "Ma'am, we're receiving transmissions from all fronts. The Zorgax forces are surrendering across the galaxy." Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath. "Send word to Earth. Tell them we've won." As the message was relayed, Sarah couldn't help but think back to the day when humanity first learned they weren't alone in the universe. It had been a rude awakening when the Zorgax armada appeared in Earth's orbit, demanding unconditional surrender. But humanity, with its back against the wall, had surprised everyone, including themselves. Years of hidden technological advancements, long kept secret by various governments, were suddenly unveiled. Fusion-powered ships, gravity manipulation technology, and weaponry that could rival the alien invaders were rolled out in a desperate bid for survival. The war that followed was brutal and unforgiving. Humanity suffered heavy losses in the early years, forced to abandon Earth and scatter across friendly alien worlds. But they adapted, learned, and most importantly, never gave up. Now, 10 years later, they stood triumphant. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across human colonies and refugee settlements. On New Terra, the largest human settlement outside of Earth, fireworks lit up the alien sky. In the streets, humans danced with their alien allies, tears of joy streaming down faces of all colors and forms. Back on the Resilient, Sarah allowed herself a moment to join in the celebration. The bridge erupted in cheers, crew members hugging each other, some openly weeping with relief. Jack approached her with a bottle of champagne that had been saved for this very moment. "We did it, Captain," he said, popping the cork. Against all odds, humanity persevered. Sarah took a swig straight from the bottle, then passed it to Jack. "We sure did, old friend. But our job's not done yet." As if on cue, a new transmission came through. The holographic image of Admiral Chang, the highest-ranking official of the United Earth government, appeared before them. "Captain Chin," the Admiral said, his voice filled with pride. "On behalf of all humanity, I commend you and your crew for your extraordinary service. Thanks to your efforts, the war is over." Sarah and her crew stood at attention, basking in the Admiral's praise. But there was more to come. However, Admiral Chang continued, his tone turning serious. "Our journey is far from over. The Galactic Council has extended an invitation to humanity. They wish for us to join their ranks." A murmur of excitement rippled through the bridge. The Galactic Council was the stuff of legends, a collective of the most advanced civilizations in the known universe. An invitation to join was beyond anyone's wildest dreams. "Captain Chen," the Admiral said, "I'm appointing you as Earth's representative to the Council. You'll lead a delegation to their headquarters on Alpha Centauri Prime. You leave in 48 hours. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. "Sir, I'm honored, but surely there are more qualified individuals for this role." Admiral Chiang shook his head. "You led us to victory, Captain. The people trust you, and right now, we need a symbol of our strength and resilience. You're the right person for this job." As the transmission ended, Sarah found herself at a loss for words. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Looks like we're not done making history, Captain," he said with a grin. Sarah looked around at her crew, seeing the hope and excitement in their eyes. They had won the war, but now came the real challenge, securing humanity's place among the stars. With a deep breath, she straightened her uniform. "All right, People, let's show this Galactic Council what humanity is really made of. Little did they know, the greatest test of humanity's resilience was yet to come. The journey to Alpha Centauri Prime was uneventful, but filled with nervous energy. Captain Sarah Chen spent most of her time preparing for the upcoming meeting, studying alien protocols and practicing diplomatic phrases in various galactic languages. As the Resilient approached the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council's headquarters, Sarah stood at the viewport, taking in the awe-inspiring sight. The station was a marvel of engineering, a gleaming silver construct that seemed to float effortlessly in space, surrounded by ships of all shapes and sizes. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant O'Neill, standing beside her. Sarah nodded, "and intimidating. Let's hope we're ready for this." The Resilient docked smoothly, and Sarah led her small delegation towards the council chambers. The corridors were filled with beings of all descriptions, some humanoid, others completely alien. Many turned to stare at the humans as they passed, whispering among themselves. As they approached the grand doors of the council chamber, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin stepped forward to greet them. "Welcome, representatives of Earth. I am Zixla, your guide for today's proceedings." Sarah bowed slightly, remembering her protocol training. "We're honored to be here, Zixla. Thank you for your guidance." The doors swung open, revealing a vast circular room. Tiered seating surrounded a central platform, each tier filled with representatives from different alien races. At the highest point sat 5 beings, each more extraordinary than the last, the High Counselors. As Sarah and her team took their place on the central platform, a hush fell over the chamber. The central High Counselor, a being of pure energy contained within a translucent shell, spoke first. "Representatives of Earth," the voice resonated in their minds rather than their ears, "we welcome you to the Galactic Council. Your victory against the Zorgax was unexpected." Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "Thank you, High Counselor. We're grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community." A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Another counselor, a reptilian being with scales that shifted colors like oil on water, leaned forward. "Tell us, human, how did your primitive species manage to defeat the Zorgax? They've terrorized this galaxy for millennia." Sarah felt a flicker of annoyance at the word primitive, but kept her composure. "We may be young compared to many here, but we're quick learners. We adapted Zorgax technology, improved upon it." She was interrupted by a bark of laughter from one of the lower tiers. A bulbous creature with multiple eyes rolled forward. "Improved? You? That's rich. I bet they just got lucky." More laughter rippled through the chamber. Sarah felt her cheeks burning, but before she could respond, another voice chimed in. "Perhaps they simply outbred the Zorgax," sneered a wispy, cloud-like being. "Humans multiply like bacteria, after all." The chamber erupted in a mixture of laughter and shocked gasps. Sarah clenched her fists, struggling to maintain her diplomatic demeanor. She glanced at her team, seeing their own anger and humiliation reflected in their eyes. The energy being raised a tendril, silencing the room. While crude, these points raise valid questions. How can we trust a species that was unknown to us mere decades ago? How do we know you won't become the very threat you eliminated? Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. She stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and defiant. "We came here in peace, hoping to join a community of enlightened beings. Instead, we find prejudice and mockery. You ask how we defeated the Zorgax. We did it through unity, through combining our strengths and overcoming our differences. We did it because when faced with extinction, we chose to fight, to survive, to thrive." She paused, looking around the chamber, meeting the eyes and eye stalks and sensory organs of the assembled aliens. "We may be young, we may be different, but we are not to be underestimated. We've earned our place here, and we intend to keep it." A tense silence fell over the chamber. The High Counselors conferred among themselves, their private conversation inaudible to the rest. Finally, the energy being spoke again. Your words are bold, human. Perhaps too bold. We shall recess to discuss this situation. You will be summoned when we've reached a decision. As Sarah and her team were led out of the chamber, she couldn't help but wonder if she'd just ruined humanity's chance at galactic acceptance. But looking at the proud faces of her fellow humans, she knew she'd said what needed to be said. The real test was yet to come. As Sarah and her team waited outside the council chambers, tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Lieutenant O'Neill paced back and forth, his face creased with worry. "Do you think we blew it, Captain?" he asked, voicing the fear they all shared. Sarah sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I don't know, Jack, but I couldn't just stand there and let them mock us. We've come too far, sacrificed too much." Suddenly, a commotion at the far end of the corridor caught their attention. A group of aliens was approaching, led by a tall, willowy being with skin that shimmered like the surface of a soap bubble. As they drew closer, Sarah recognized some of the species from her briefings: a Arcturian, a Proximan, and even a Betelgeusian. The willowy being stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Greetings, humans. I am Ambassador Lyra of the Pleiades Federation. We overheard your speech in the council chambers." Sarah tensed, unsure if this was going to be another round of ridicule. But to her surprise, Lyra's face split into what could only be described as a smile. "It was most impressive," Lyra continued. "Many of us have long believed that the council has grown stagnant, too set in its ways. Your words, they've stirred things up quite nicely." The Arcturian, a stocky creature with metallic scales, chimed in. "We've been monitoring your species for some time. Your resilience, your adaptability, it's remarkable. The way you turned the Zorgax's own technology against them. Brilliant." Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We were beginning to think we had no allies here." The Proximan, a being of swirling gases contained within a translucent exoskeleton, floated forward. "Oh, you have allies, make no mistake. Many of us younger races have been waiting for a chance to challenge the old order. Your arrival might just be the catalyst we needed." As they talked, more aliens joined their group. Some were curious, others openly supportive. Sarah found herself fielding questions about Earth, human culture, and their unlikely victory against the Zorgax. In the midst of this impromptu gathering, Zixla reappeared. "The council is ready to reconvene," they announced, their eyes widening slightly at the crowd that had formed. As Sarah and her team made their way back to the chambers, Lyra caught her arm. "Remember, human, you are not alone here. Stand firm." The council chamber was eerily quiet as they entered. Sarah could feel the weight of countless alien gazes upon her as she took her place on the central platform. The energy being High Counselor spoke first, its voice resonating in their minds. "Representatives of Earth, we have deliberated on your passionate words." Sarah stood tall, chin raised. She could almost feel the support of their new allies, even though they weren't present in the chamber. The reptilian counselor leaned forward, its scales shimmering. "While your speech was provocative, we cannot deny the facts. Your defeat of the Zorgax is unprecedented. It suggests that your species possesses qualities that could be valuable to the council." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Sarah held her breath, hardly daring to hope. The energy being raised a tendril for silence. "However, we cannot simply grant you full membership based on one victory, impressive as it may be. Therefore, we propose a probationary period. You will be granted observer status on the Council for 1 galactic standard year. During this time, you will learn our ways, and we will learn yours." Sarah's heart raced. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a foot in the door. She stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. "We accept your proposal, High Counselor. Humanity thanks you for this opportunity." As the formal proceedings concluded, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of triumph and trepidation. They had overcome the initial ridicule, but the real work was just beginning. How would humanity prove itself worthy in the eyes of the galaxy? As they left the chamber, Sarah turned to her team. "Well, folks, looks like we've got our work cut out for us. Let's show this council what humanity is really made of." Little did they know, forces were already in motion that would test humanity's resolve like never before. The next year would shape not just humanity's future, but the future of the entire galaxy. 3 months into humanity's probationary period, Captain Sarah Chen found herself more exhausted than she'd ever been during the war. Every day brought new challenges, from deciphering alien legal codes to navigating complex interspecies etiquette. Today, she stood before a holo display in the human delegation's quarters, studying the latest report from Earth. Her second-in-command, Jack O'Neill, entered the room, carrying 2 steaming mugs of what passed for coffee in this part of the galaxy. "Any news from home?" he asked, handing her a mug. Sarah nodded, taking a sip and grimacing at the bitter taste. "Not all good, I'm afraid. There's unrest in some of the colonies. People are struggling to adapt to alien technologies, and there are concerns about cultural contamination." Jack sighed. "Can't say I'm surprised. We've gone from fighting for survival to rubbing elbows with 1,000 different alien species in the blink of an eye. It's a lot to take in." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime. The door slid open, revealing Ambassador Lyra, their Pleiadian ally. "Greetings, friends," Lyra said, her iridescent skin shimmering. "I hope I'm not interrupting, but there's a situation you need to be aware of." Sarah straightened, instantly alert. "What's happened?" Lyra's expression turned grave. "There's been an incident at one of the border outposts. A human ship allegedly fired on a Zorgax refugee vessel." The news hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. "That's impossible. We have strict orders not to engage unless fired upon first." Nevertheless, Lyra continued, "The Zorgax representatives are calling for your immediate expulsion from the council. They claim this proves humans are too aggressive and unpredictable to be trusted." Jack slammed his mug down, coffee sloshing over the rim. "This has to be a setup. The Zorgax are just looking for an excuse to get rid of us." Sarah held up a hand, her mind racing. "We need more information. Lyra, can you get us access to the outpost's sensor logs?" Lyra nodded. "I'll do my best, but it won't be easy. The outpost is in a contentious sector." As Lyra left to make inquiries, Sarah turned to Jack. "We need to get ahead of this. Contact Earth, brief them on the situation, and get our best analysts working on those logs as soon as we receive them." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah found herself shuttling between emergency council sessions, heated debates with Zorgax representatives, and tense meetings with her own team. 5 days after the incident, Sarah stood once again in the council chambers. The atmosphere was thick with tension as she prepared to present their findings. "Honorable councilors," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "After thorough investigation, we've uncovered the truth behind the border incident." She activated a holo display, showing a 3-dimensional replay of the event. "As you can see, the human ship did fire, but only after the Zorgax vessel dropped its disguise and revealed weapons." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Sarah continued, her voice rising over the noise. "Furthermore, we've identified the energy signatures of these weapons. They match those used by Zorgax insurgents who refuse to accept the war's end." The chamber erupted into chaos. The Zorgax representatives shouted denials, while other species demanded explanations. Sarah stood firm, letting the evidence speak for itself. Finally, the Energy Being High Counselor called for order. "These are serious allegations, Representative Chen. If true, they suggest a deliberate attempt to discredit humanity and destabilize the Council." Sarah nodded grimly. "We believe so, High Counselor. But more than that, it proves that the threat of the Zorgax isn't over. There are factions still at large, possibly planning further attacks. As the council debated the implications, Sarah caught Lyra's eye from the observer's gallery. The Pleiadian gave her a subtle nod of approval. Hours later, as Sarah and her team left the chambers, they were met by a group of diverse alien representatives. "Impressive work, humans," rumbled the Arcturian. "You've shown not just strength, but wisdom and restraint." The Proximan bobbed in agreement. "Indeed. Many of us are rethinking our initial judgments of your species." As congratulations poured in, Sarah felt a mix of relief and determination. They'd weathered this storm, but she knew it was just the beginning. Humanity had proven itself, not through force, but through intelligence and integrity. As they walked back to their quarters, Jack leaned in. "So, Captain, what's our next move?" Sarah's eyes gleamed with purpose. "Now we show the galaxy what humanity can really do when we're not fighting for survival, but for a better future. For all of us." The challenges ahead were many, but for the first time since arriving at the council, Sarah felt truly hopeful. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and they were here to stay. 2 months after the Zorgax incident, humanity's standing in the Galactic Council had improved significantly. Captain Sarah Chen found herself busier than ever, coordinating efforts between Earth and their new alien allies. One morning, as Sarah reviewed reports in the human delegation's office, an urgent message flashed across her screen. Her eyes widened as she read it. "Jack," she called out. Lieutenant O'Neill rushed in, concern etched on his face. "What is it, Captain?" Sarah's voice was tense. "We've got a situation. A human colony on Proxima B is under attack. Unknown ships, not matching any known designs." Jack's face paled. "Zorgax insurgents." "Doesn't look like it," Sarah replied, already moving towards the door. "We need to inform the council immediately." As they hurried through the corridors of the massive space station, they were met by Ambassador Lyra. The Pleiadian's usual shimmer seemed dulled with worry. "We've just received the news," Lyra said, falling into step beside them. "The council is convening an emergency session." The council chamber was a hive of activity when they arrived. Representatives from various species huddled in groups, discussing the situation in hushed tones. As Sarah took her place on the central platform, she could feel the weight of countless alien gazes upon her. The energy being High Counselor's voice resonated through the chamber, silencing all other conversations. "Representatives of Earth, what can you tell us about this attack?" Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "High Counselor, members of the Council, at 600 Galactic Standard Time, our colony on Proxima B came under attack by unknown forces. Their ships and weapons are unlike anything we've encountered before." She activated a holo display, showing grainy footage of sleek, dark ships firing strange, pulsating energy weapons at the colony's defenses. "As you can see," Sarah continued, "these are not Zorgax ships, nor do they match any known designs in our database." The reptilian counselor leaned forward, scales shimmering with agitation. "Are you suggesting a new threat has emerged, one unknown to even the council?" Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The central holo display flickered and changed, showing a massive fleet of the unknown ships approaching the council station itself. Panic erupted in the chamber. Various representatives shouted for evacuation or immediate military response. Amidst the chaos, Sarah's mind raced. She caught Jack's eye, seeing her own determination reflected there. "High Counselor." Sarah's voice cut through the noise. "I request permission to lead a defense force." The energy being seemed to pulse with surprise. "You? But your ships are far from the most advanced in the Council fleet." Sarah stood tall, her voice unwavering. "Maybe not, but we have experience fighting against superior forces, and more importantly, we have something to prove." There was a moment of tense silence. Then, to Sarah's surprise, voices of support began to rise from the chamber. "The humans have shown their worth," the Arcturian representative rumbled. Their unconventional tactics could be just what we need, added the Proximan. The High Counselor's form shimmered as it considered. Finally, it spoke. Very well, Representative Chen. You will lead the first wave of our defense. But be warned, the fate of the Council may rest on your actions. Sarah nodded grimly. Understood, High Counselor. We won't let you down. As Sarah and Jack rushed to prepare their ships, they were joined by a diverse group of alien allies. Lyra approached, her skin now pulsing with determined energy. The Pleiades Federation stands with Earth, she declared. Our ships are at your disposal, Captain Chen. Similar pledges came from the Arcturians, Proximans, and several other races. For the first time, Sarah felt the true weight of unity that the Galactic Council was meant to represent. As they boarded their ships, Jack turned to Sarah. So, Captain, any brilliant strategies to save the galaxy? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Just one, Jack. We do what humanity does best. We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. As the fleet of mixed alien ships launched into space, with human vessels at the forefront, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. From being ridiculed newcomers to leading the defense of the galaxy, humanity had proven its worth. But as the enemy fleet loomed ever closer on their scanners, Sarah knew the real test was yet to come. The fate of not just humanity, but the entire Galactic Council, now rested in their hands. All ships, battle formation, Sarah commanded, her voice steady. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The vastness of space erupted into chaos as Captain Sarah Chen led the mixed fleet of human and alien ships against the unknown enemy. Bursts of energy lit up the darkness, painting a deadly light show against the backdrop of stars. Evasive maneuvers, Sarah shouted as another volley of the strange pulsating weapons streaked past their shields. Her ship, the Resilient, shuddered under the assault. Lieutenant Jack O'Neill's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, their weapons are unlike anything we've seen. Our shields are barely holding. Sarah's mind raced. The enemy's technology was far beyond their own, much like the Zorgax had been when they first attacked Earth. But humanity had overcome that threat, and they would overcome this one too. All ships, form up on me, Sarah commanded. We're going to try something new. As the Allied ships fell into formation behind the Resilient, Sarah opened a channel to Lyra's Pleiadian vessel. Ambassador, remember how we modified Zorgax tech during the war? I need your help to do something similar here. Lyra's shimmering form appeared on the view screen. A daring plan, Captain. What do you need? Your ship's energy modulators. If we can sync them with our weapons, we might be able to match the enemy's frequency. As Sarah's plan was put into action, the battle raged on. The unknown enemy pressed their attack, their dark ships moving with an eerie grace through the chaos of battle. Suddenly, a massive enemy vessel emerged from the shadows of a nearby moon. It dwarfed even the largest council ships, its surface crawling with what looked like living metal. By the stars, Jack whispered, his face pale on the view screen. How are we supposed to fight that? Sarah gritted her teeth, the same way we've fought everything else. Together, and with everything we've got. As the giant ship approached, Sarah's voice rang out across all Allied channels. This is Captain Chen to all ships. Concentrate fire on the enemy flagship. Use the modulated frequency. Hit them with everything you've got. The space around them lit up as hundreds of ships fired in unison. The modified weapons pulsed with a new energy, matching the ethereal glow of the enemy's technology. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a ripple appeared on the surface of the giant ship. It spread quickly, the living metal seeming to recoil from the attack. It's working. Lyra's excited voice came through the comm. Their shields are weakening. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Press the attack. Don't let up. As the battle raged on, something unexpected happened. The enemy ships began to retreat, pulling back from the onslaught of the Allied fleet. The giant flagship shimmered, as if struggling to maintain its form, before disappearing in a flash of light that momentarily blinded everyone. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, gradually, cheers and exclamations of victory filled the communication channels. Back in the council chambers, the mood was one of jubilant disbelief. As Sarah and her team entered, they were met with a standing ovation from representatives of countless alien races. The energy being High Counselor's voice resonated with a warmth Sarah hadn't heard before. "Captain Chen, representatives of Earth, you have saved not just the Council, but perhaps the entire galaxy. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Sarah stepped forward, her voice humble but strong. "High Counselor, members of the Council, we did only what any of you would have done. This victory belongs to all of us." The reptilian counselor, who had once been one of humanity's harshest critics, spoke next. "Perhaps we were too hasty in our judgment of your species. You have shown not just courage, but ingenuity and leadership in the face of an overwhelming threat." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Sarah could hardly believe how far they'd come from the ridicule they'd faced just months ago. As the Council debated the implications of this new threat and the future of galactic security, Sarah found herself surrounded by her team and their alien allies. Jack clapped her on the shoulder. "So, Captain, think they'll stop underestimating us now?" Sarah laughed, the tension of battle finally leaving her. "Maybe, but something tells me our adventures in the galaxy are just beginning." Lyra nodded, her shimmering form pulsing with excitement. "Indeed, and I, for one, look forward to facing whatever comes next with humanity by our side." As Sarah looked around at the diverse group of beings, united in victory and shared purpose, she felt a swell of pride. Humanity had not just earned its place among the stars, it had become an integral part of the galactic community. The future was uncertain, with new threats and challenges sure to come, but Sarah knew that together, there was nothing they couldn't face. 1 year had passed since the battle against the unknown enemy. The Galactic Council space station buzzed with activity as representatives from across the galaxy gathered for a historic event. Captain Sarah Chen stood before a mirror, adjusting her new uniform. The insignia on her collar reflected her recent promotion to Admiral. She took a deep breath, steadying her nerves. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Lieutenant Jack O'Neill, now Captain O'Neill, entered with a grin. "Ready for the big day, Admiral?" Sarah smiled. "As ready as I'll ever be, Jack. Hard to believe we've come this far." Together, they'd made their way to the Grand Council chamber. The room was packed, filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and species. As they entered, a hush fell over the crowd. The energy being High Counselor's voice resonated through the chamber. "Today marks a momentous occasion in galactic history. 1 year ago, humanity stood before us as probationary members, viewed with skepticism and even ridicule by some." Sarah could see some of the alien representatives shift uncomfortably at the reminder. The High Counselor continued, "But in the face of unprecedented threats, humanity proved itself not just worthy of membership, but capable of leadership that has strengthened our entire council." Lyra, now the official Pleiadian ambassador, caught Sarah's eye from across the room and gave an encouraging nod. "It is therefore my great pleasure," the High Counselor announced, "to formally induct Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities therein." The chamber erupted in applause and cheers. Sarah felt a lump in her throat as she stepped forward to accept the official seal of membership. As the formalities concluded, Sarah found herself surrounded by a diverse group of alien representatives, all eager to congratulate her and discuss future collaborations. The Arcturian representative, his metallic scales gleaming, rumbled, "Your tactics during the battle were most impressive, Admiral Chen. We look forward to joint military exercises." The gaseous Proximan bobbed in agreement. "And your scientists' insights into the enemy's technology have opened up entirely new fields of study. The galaxy owes you a great debt." Even the reptilian counselor, once their harshest critic, approached with grudging respect. "You've proven me wrong, Admiral. It seems the galaxy will benefit from human unpredictability after all." As the celebration continued, Sarah slipped away to a quiet corner with Jack and Lyra. "So," Jack said with a smirk, "not bad for a primitive species, huh?" Lyra's skin shimmered with amusement. "Indeed, though I suspect this is just the beginning of humanity's role in galactic affairs." Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. "You're right. The unknown enemy is still out there, and something tells me they'll be back. But next time," Lyra said, "the entire council will be ready to face them together." Their conversation was interrupted by a young human ensign rushing up to them. "Admiral Chen, we've just received a transmission from deep space. Well, you need to see this." Sarah exchanged glances with Jack and Lyra before following the ensign to a nearby console. The screen flickered to life, showing a strange, swirling anomaly in space. "It appeared an hour ago," the ensign explained, "and it's growing." As they watched, a shape began to emerge from the anomaly. It was a ship, but unlike any they had ever seen before. It seemed to shift and change as it moved, defying the laws of physics as they knew them. "Alert the council," Sarah ordered, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Looks like our next adventure is about to begin." As alarms began to sound throughout the station, Sarah couldn't help but smile. A year ago, humanity had been ridiculed and underestimated. Now, they stood at the forefront of galactic exploration and defense. Whatever this new challenge was, Sarah knew that humanity, together with their alien allies, would face it head-on. They had earned their place among the stars, and they were here to stay. As representatives from across the galaxy rushed to convene an emergency session, Sarah straightened her uniform and prepared to address the council once more. The ridicule of the past was long forgotten. Now, the galaxy looked to humanity for leadership. "Well," Jack said, a hint of excitement in his voice, "shall we save the galaxy again, Admiral?" Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the mysterious ship on the screen. "Let's show them what humanity can do." And with that, they strode purposefully towards the council chambers, ready to write the next chapter in humanity's grand cosmic adventure.